Hello my friends, let's talk about Sword Art Online. Remember when Sword Art Online was good? No, really it was. I can hear you laughing and spitting in anger right now. But hear me out. Like a lot of you, my current opinion is that Sword Art Online is a steaming pile of a middle school kid's power fantasy. Its attempts to reach some philosophically deep conclusion of how MMOs are just as real as real life were shallow post-traumatic rationalizations that only work because everyone has to agree with how smart and awesome the light novel protagonist is. That might get its own video in the future, but like many of you, I was genuinely intrigued by the light-hearted world with surprisingly high stakes. The slice-of-life episodes before the plot moved forward were enjoyable enough to keep me hopeful and watching, all the way through the multi-season downward spiral. So what made us stick around even though we knew we were on a sinking ship? The answer is because despite where the series went, those early episodes delivered on creating a world that successfully engaged all four of Richard Bartel's MMO play archetypes, as well as the kinds of player interactions that arise from those archetypes. Bartel's taxonomy of player types was an early contribution to video game design theory, and while his research method was rough, it provided an accurate basis for the evolution of multiplayer game design. The four archetypes are explorers, who enjoy discovering all the little secrets a game has to offer, achievers, who strive to master game mechanics and top leaderboards, socializers, who just want a place to hang out and meet new and interesting people, and killers, who want to dominate and defeat other players whenever possible. Depending on the type of games, these player types will blend and interact differently. But usually, in an MMO, the achievers like explorers, because explorers find information that help achievers succeed. Socializers like other socializers because of a more the merrier attitude. And killers like achievers because they offer a challenge that proves their dominance over other players, but can often be disrupted by the explorers, who find tricks and exploits that killers often overlook. Sword Art Online, as a setting, actually capitalizes each of these dynamics. With the immediate introduction of the death game situation, most SAO players, not willing to die for a video game, hold up in the starter city and become socializers. Because everyone is trapped, the socializer population never decreases. And so, the thing that keeps socializers interested never fades and is immediately available. The skill system in SAO is one that improves gradually as you use the skill. But, as we see in episode 7, where Kirito and Lisbeth go find a rare material for blacksmithing, the economic aspects of the setting hugely benefit from explorers, and explorers in turn hugely benefit from the engagement of going and finding those secrets. Given that only a certain number of players are brave enough to start leveling and leave the starter city, the group of top achievers are quickly distinguished and get the recognition that achievers crave. And the killers, who are probably the most logical group for not buying into this anime's ridiculous death game premise, get the highest form of their engagement, because the higher stakes of the death game result in bigger, more frustrated, more frightened player reactions. Those reactions let killers feel dominant, and Kirito, being a blank personality, nice guy, super fighter with a secret technique and power tantrums, fulfills each of the archetypes for the viewers. The premise of the show as an MMO-based isekai naturally attracted people who have a natural understanding of these archetypes, and were attracted to these dynamics as they played out through episode 9. But as the show continued, it lost all of the nuances of the interactions and any consideration of how an actual game would affect them in context. Let me be clear, I think Sword Art Online is a piece of trash, but I recognize that it was good for at least a little while. And naively, I will probably continue to watch when Season 3 debuts, in the hopes that some semblance of its original intrigue will return. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. It goes without saying that these are just my personal opinions, and I hold no ill will against anyone who disagrees with me. I welcome anyone who wants to point out different dynamics I neglected to talk about in the comments. If you liked the video, please subscribe and consider supporting me on Patreon to help me continue making these videos in the future. Thank you again, and as always, stay true.